Hello, today's task is replacing a motherboard on a Replicator 2 from Makerbot. The issue here, I've already removed the panels, and the issue here that actually occurred was one of the stepper controllers, literally the chip blew out on it. I got some closer pictures later, but you can see a line through the middle of that chip there. It literally smoked, and when it did this, it apparently damaged some of the board and the control circuit, so everything seems to boot up fine, but I have absolutely no control over the board. And the steppers are completely malfunctioning when I use Replicator G to try to control it over the USB. So not just was the one stepper obviously damaged, but suspected either the board or the other stepper controllers or both were all completely damaged. So Makerbot and their infamous great support team has in turn sent a replacement. Originally I had a replacement stepper on the way, and in that time the stepper smoked out and caused further damage, so now they've actually sent a complete replacement. So here we have, let's get rid of this box, there we go. Here we have the, should be the complete setup, which the first thing I see on top looks like this is going to be the control board. I was told it would be the metal and everything, but apparently it's not. So I guess in the video I'll be doing how to take apart the casing for the control board and replacing just the circuits. As precaution, it looks like they sent the new cable, which looks like either an old IDE cable or kind of reminds me of a floppy cable, for those that are old enough to remember what those look like. And of course, the motherboard. Everything contained within static bags, and you should be using some sort of ground strap or something as you do the work to replace this stuff, of course. And it looks like the control board actually includes all the required steppers. As a matter of fact, these steppers actually have different numbers on them. Interesting. None of my steppers have any type of sticker on the back. These have a sticker on them. Actually says number, what's it say? I don't think I can focus. 23292424. I wonder if that's a different chip, just a different manufacturer maybe. Hard to say. This again is a Rev H Mightyboard, so it should fit perfectly within the Rev H posts and everything that I have on the current Makerbot Replicator 2. So after the break, I'm going to pull the old board out, do a video of it, and the old control panel, and put the new board in. So to start off with, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to power down the unit. Unplug the USB in the power supply. After it's unplugged, I have a tendency to power it back on one more time while it's unplugged. Let it sit for a couple of seconds, make sure any power remaining in the board drains out, and then power it back down again. In my case, I think Makerbot recommends laying the unit on the right side. I actually prefer laying it on the left side. It's higher, it's easier for me to work on for what we're doing. So I'm going to manually take my extruder and push it to the back left corner, because that's the side that the unit will be laying on. And then carefully take the unit and stand it up. On its side like so. Oop, there we go. Now you want to be cautious of your filament tube and your cables in the back or anything. If you're close to a wall like I am here, you don't want to be pushing on them too hard or anything. So grab the proper tools and we'll take this panel off here. It's 4 screws, and I'll remove the panel and this should be able to be completed with the Allen key that you've already received with the Makerbot. If not, you might have other tools as well on hand that will also fit it, make your job a little easier. And this is just a really simple. I have a tendency to pull the left top and the right top corner screws out first. And what I like to do in this case is just simply loosen about 2 or 3 turns the bottom screws. You don't have to pull those out of the way, I'll tell you why. Because at this point you can actually lean the plate forward and lift off the screws on the post, so it makes it easier to remove. And what you have is your plate. Set the plate aside and your screws aside. Don't lose them, you'll need them to put that plate back on. And then in a second I'll set the camera up on a tripod and we'll come back and go over removing the board. Okay, welcome back. So it is now time to remove the old board from your Replicator Makerbot printer. Should have everything actually plugged in, but I didn't. So here we have the old board. And first thing we want to do is actually disconnect all the wiring. And probably have the proper screwdrivers ready to do this. There we go. So first thing I'm going to disconnect is the wiring harness down here. I'll pull this straight down. And this is your active cooling fan. I'll pull that out. And these are your thermistor wires. This is clearly marked red and yellow on the board, so no need to really remember where to put them back at. I'm using a number 3 flathead, which seems to fit really good in here, so I'm going to give this about 3 turns. I'll give it a little extra. Pull these wires straight down and set them aside carefully. Don't bend them too hard, don't kink them. These can be easy to damage and you want to make sure you don't bend these too much, just kind of set them out of the way. These are your stop switches. We'll unplug that. This is your ribbon cable to your LCD control panel on the front of the machine. Kind of looks like an old floppy cable. Your LEDs up top, you want to unplug this as well. And the wires to your stepper motors. I'll unplug this and set this straight up. So I set these straight up so I know this is the one that goes back in here. And that way this one we can actually set to the left and tuck it into a ribbon cable over here. So we know that one goes back into that spot. Now at this point, if you have a Replicator 2, everything's disconnected. If you're running a Replicator 2X, you would be disconnecting 2 wiring harnesses here and here. And you would be disconnecting 2 thermistor wires, or actually 4 wires, 2 sets. And you'd also be disconnecting the thermistor sensor cable, which runs to your heat bed plate, and 2 additional wires up top, which is your positive and negative, your power wires for your heat bed. In this case, I don't have this equipment, so we won't be doing this. While doing all this work, of course, you want to make sure you're properly grounded out as well. So now we want to simply, these are sitting on some kind of quick aluminum posts. I personally don't like bending circuit boards, so I'm going to do this in 2 simple steps actually. I'm going to take the first one and only pop it off about halfway, so I'm not flexing my board too much. And then I'm going to move my way down. There should be 7 posts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to pop this one off about halfway and work my way around the board, pulling each one a little off at a time. And the top one up here. The one in the middle is actually hard to get. You really can't get to that too easily. And then I'm going to work my way back to where I started and pop it the rest of the way off the post. And continue to work my way around the board again. Hearing the little clicks as they go. And there's that one last one that's difficult to get to. Sometimes it comes right off, sometimes it doesn't. There we go. And pull the board off. Set the board aside if you're keeping it on a static bag, preferably. This one is actually pretty shot, so I'm just going to set it aside. Now you have your new boards that you received. And you're going to carefully remove the new board from your static bag. And of course I shouldn't have to mention I unplugged the unit first. But just in case, I will mention that. Disconnect the power first. Set your ribbon cables out of the way. Feed your switch, power, and USB into the plastic housing, lining up your posts so you can actually see them in the holes. Looks like we're good. And I'm going to just push down on one corner so it stays in place. This corner seems to work pretty good. And then do the same procedure of slowly working around the board, snapping the new board into place on these aluminum quick posts. I'm going to do the same thing, kind of put it down halfway, a little bit at a time, and then bring it down the rest of the way until you hear a nice secure click, and you know it's clicked in all the way. And there you go. Our board is now securely fastened. Reconnect your cables. I'll start with the LED cable first. Stepper motors. Actually this should go underneath your LCD control panel. I'm actually going to leave that off because I still need to replace the LCD control panel. Switches, your wiring harness, your active cooling fan, and the thermistor wires, of course. And like I said, they're plainly marked. You have A and B sections of this. I'm running a single extruder, tool 0 only, so mine's going to go into A, so it matches with the A harness. If I was running 2, I'd have a B harness, and the wires would be in the bar to right for B, red and yellow. So we want to insert these straight up, ensuring that no wires are frayed off of it, so we don't want any wire to short out from one to another. So I give the wires a little twist. I'm going to make sure, since this is a new board, that these are open. Unscrew them. Take your wires and feed them straight up into the holes. There you go. And tighten it down. Don't over torque it, just give it a little bit of tight, little quarter turn past when it gets tight. And do a little yank test on there to make sure it doesn't come out. Make sure you tighten them both down. And usually at this point you would replace the cover, but since I'm still going to be replacing the front LCD control panel, we're going to leave this off for the time being. But you now successfully have installed the new Mightyboard on your Makerbot printer.